Story I'm about to tell you is one of those stories that on the face of it you don't see a lot, don't think a lot, and then something happens where a photo is taken or something happens and you say, how in the heck did this come about? The story I'm going to tell you is about a dear friend I had for many years. His name was Steve. I met Steve shortly after I was transferred to Mississippi from Arkansas. He's one of the first persons I met, as a matter of fact. Steve had a heart of gold. He was a Vietnam vet. He had some health issues. He was a commercial painter, and this was back in the days that people didn't wear masks. And anyway, his lungs were just in terrible condition. Coughed a lot, coughed all the time. It didn't help the matters any that Steve was a pretty heavy smoker. But Steve and I developed quite a friendship. I needed to go to Arkansas to pick up a piano of mine that was at my mom and dad's that I had never moved down with me to Mississippi. At the time, I had an old Bronco. I wish I still had that old Bronco. But I needed some company, and Steve had always talked about wanting to see the mountains. So on a cold winter's day, we left for Arkansas. And we were going up for a couple days for just pleasure and relaxation. Well, my dad loved to take people through the mountains and climbing ledges and things like this, just to show people a good time. Well, we got up to the second morning we were there, and it was really cold. I remember the day specifically because we looked up the high expected for the day, and it was 16 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's pretty darn chilly. So we took off and we hiked through the mountains, and Dad took Steve to this one place. I'll try to describe it the best I can. You will be seeing sometimes in this video some photos. But it was one rock that was about 10 feet wide, 20 feet long, and this rock was on a precipice, and it just like it hung over the mountains. You'd be on this rock and you would look down, and it would be 100 feet or so toward the bottom. The unique thing about this rock is on the top of this rock there were 3 round bowls that looked like they had been carved into the rock. 1, 2, 3. Come to find out from doing research and everything many years later, Dad found out that this was a place that the local Indians did some sort of ritual, or perhaps the medicine man, these bowls he used to mix whatever together. But it's a very unique spot, very beautiful spot. Well, Steve was not a religious kind of guy. He had been really hardened from Vietnam, and then when he got in trouble with the law, and anyway, he was not so much a religious person, but he was a spiritual person. Well, we got on this rock. I never will forget this. It was funny. Like I said, Steve had really long hair, but he didn't have any on the top. He was virtually totally bald except the band around his head, and he had hair halfway down his back. Well, he took off the hat he had on, and his old bald head was just steaming. He was so worn out from the the hiking, and then it being so cold, his head, to this day I can visualize Steve's head steaming. But we got up there and we were sitting on this rock just looking at the beauty of the mountains. There had been a little bit of snow, and you could see throughout the landscape where there had been a dusting of snow. And Steve made the comment that was the holiest place that he had ever been. And on our way back from Arkansas, he just kept ranting and raving about what a great and what a holy place this rock was. And he told me, he said, Bob, he says, when I die, he says, promise me that you will take my ashes to the mountain and spread them on this rock. I said, Steve, I give you my word, I will do that. Well, years passed, a few years passed. This was somewhere in 2008, 2009 when we originally went up there. And he passed shortly after that because we took his ashes back up there in 2010. I know that because that date was on the bottom of the photo. But his wife hung on to the ashes for at least a year because she just was not ready to part with them. Well, it got time to, she released his ashes to me, and we went up there, and Dad, since Dad turned on Steve to this place, Dad wanted to be the one to pour out his ashes. So we get up there and we pour out, Dad pours out the ashes on the rock. And, it was a little bit of melancholy. I mean, I was glad that we did Steve's wishes, but again, I was sad because I had lost a dear friend and a good husband and a good father to his family. We didn't think anything about it after that, or didn't think too much about it, until we got the photos developed. At the time, there was no taking your camera and taking photos and everything. So anyway, we get the photos back, and we got to looking at my dad when he was pouring out Steve's ashes. And I was just kind of amazed and almost shocked when I saw the pile of ashes there. And that brings me to telling you a little bit more about Steve. Steve had a wolf. The wolf's name was Mojo. This was not a dog. This was a wolf. I really forget where Steve got him, but it was bred by a female wolf and a male dog. Looked identical to a wolf, big, and couldn't get around Mojo. I mean, Steve used Mojo as a guard dog, and you had to know the family well to just pop right in and see them. But anyway, the fascinating thing that I'm about to tell you about is the ashes, Steve's ashes, and his dad poured them out. And I hope you will be able to see in the photo, this was not staged, this was just crazy, absolutely crazy. When we got the photos back of the pictures that had been developed, the pile of ashes were 100% identical to a wolf. You can see the body, you can see the mouth, the ears. I mean, so it's just crazy as it can be. And this may not seem like much to you because you wasn't there and what was involved and everything, but I challenge you to look at the photos that are in on this little video and tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree with me that yes, the pile of ashes looked identical to a little miniature wolf there. Appreciate you listening to this story. I'd love for you to subscribe and like it. And again, on every video I'll mention that when and if I ever make any income whatsoever, it's going to get donated to Children's of Mississippi, our local children's hospital that's doing some absolute fantastic work. Appreciate it if you'd share my videos with your friends, and I hope you guys have a terrific and wonderful day, and peace.